Welcome to the Brand Lincoln Podcast, the show where we dig into the stories behind Lincoln's most inspiring business owners and influential people. It's where big ideas and even bigger personalities collide. Proudly sponsored by Perch Merch, your one-stop shop for screen printing, embroidery, and promotional products that make your brand unforgettable. Call us at 402-217-5212 or visit us at perch-merch.com to give your business the glow up it deserves. And don't just listen, be a true multitasker. Like, follow, and subscribe on whatever platform you're tuning in on. And check us out on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Brand Lincoln Podcast. We're basically everywhere you waste your time. Let's get inspired, Lincoln. The stories start now. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Brand Lincoln. I am your host, Chris Beecham, joined by my co-host, Henry Schmidt.
Hello, Chris.
And Joe Cruz.
Good morning.
How are you, Joe?
Good. I'm doing great.
I saw that your billboard has been taken down downtown.
R.I.P.
Buffalo billboard.
They lost it in a storm, but it's actually in the back of my van right now. I did retrieve
What?
it. I got it back. Yeah.
What do you mean?
Is it like a banner?
It's a banner. Yeah.
How big is it?
It's 10 foot by 40 feet.
What are you gonna? You got like a fence at home? You're gonna put it on the side of your house?
Put it on the side of our building.
I was going to put it on the side of our building here.
I'm fine with that. Let's do it.
We'll get
That's
more
fine.
calls.
It'll be the backdrop of my birthday party in November.
Well, our guest today, I know he has a billboard in his property, but today, joining us in the Perch Merch studio is Paul Holt of the Ugly Motel / Travel Lodge.
Yep. I have a couple other companies too, and the Ugly Motel. That's the fun one. So.
Yeah, it's because if you grew up in Lincoln, you know what the Ugly Motel is. It's the old Holidome on 52nd and Cornhusker.
The what?
The old Holidome.
Holidome.
Joe was calling it something else earlier.
Hojo?
The old Howard Johnson.
Yeah, it was a Howard Johnson as well.
Yeah. Okay.
Right? It's been both, right?
Yeah, so in 1960, it was built as a holidome. It was one of the first hotels in Lincoln. And in the 90s, it became, they lost their flag. They imported a bunch of, this is just from rumors that I've heard, from, I guess, everybody that's come in told me their stories of the place. So they brought in a bunch of tropical plants, and that brought with it some other things, a little bit of complacency and some other stuff. In 1990s, it became the Hojo, and then it kind of continued to spiral down from there.
It brought other stuff like,
what does that
like
mean?
bugs or fruit or
I realized I was going to edit
drugs?
myself out. No, there was these massive, and again, they're not there now, but from what I was told, they were like the size of small poodles, these massive, like, tropical bugs.
Oh, my.
That
way.
started like hatching out of these. And so, I mean, sounds like some of them might have been cool. Sounds like there might have been like a horn beetle or something cool, but it sounds like that they might have been, if you hate cockroaches, well, this is a super cockroach. So,
God.
anyhow, that was the rumor I heard. But yeah, so it went from Holiday Inn to Howard Johnson to Lincoln Hotel or something like that. Went through a couple others, lost its flag. And so in the hotel world, having an actual flag like Travelodge doubles its value, basically, right? So you want to keep those. Holiday Inn's much better than, well, I don't want to say that. Holiday Inn would be like what you build it as, and then you have your economy brand hotels like Travelodge after that, right? So for a while there, it was the Oasis. It was a couple other things. And that was an independent brand. That was something that the previous owner had done, and, well, it attracted a certain type of clientele. So I bought the hotel at 25. I just graduated from UNL with a degree in marketing and minor in finance. And that was like right after getting out of the submarine force. So I was gung-ho. I was ready to take on the world, Been flipping houses, been buying houses since I was 18. I bought a house, a fourplex. And I was like, hey, the next step's a hotel, right? I'm playing Monopoly.
It sounds like the movie We Bought a Zoo type of idea.
Yeah. It's basically like, this is easy. It's just a really big house. And
with a lot more people.
Well, that's the thing too. When you're flipping a house, you have your contractors. If they decide that they're going to go off and like not show up, you fire them. If you have a staff, you don't necessarily want your staff to turn over that often. So like that was a huge change from remodeling houses and doing rentals to commercial. But then there's also a whole demographic issue that I'd never really been exposed to. I'm originally from Socorro, New Mexico, lived up in Bremerton, Washington while I was in the Navy. And then when I moved back to Lincoln, for UNL, that entire time I'd never really been exposed to the clientele that the hotel had. And so then I spent the next decade trying to overcome or try to figure out how to mix that, make it work differently. So I attempted a brand. I spent close to $100,000 on attempting Borders Inn and Suites. So my thought was, okay, the issue with this place is no one's spending money on it. And in reality, I feel like in Lincoln, things just kind of gain a stigma and you really can't change it. There's nothing wrong with the perfect pillows. I spent $50,000 on beds, which, so if you own a hotel, you know that that's
and I'm
not
worried
where you
about
spend
spending $3,000 on a bed.
Yeah, well, so it's like, it's not the thing you spend money on. So that's one of those hard knock things that I learned at an economy hotel. You don't spend that much money on beds. You spend maybe a few $100 per room on beds, So I bought these high-end mattresses. I bought big screen TVs at the time, and I bought like new furniture, and I tried throwing money everywhere that I thought was broken, and it didn't really change. It just slowly kept becoming back to what it was before. And so then I decided that the Borders Inn and Suites brand wasn't working out for me. It wasn't it wasn't that it's a bad brand. It was that it wasn't really making an effect to the bottom line. So I went back to...
And the Borders Inn, is that something you created, or was that already...
Would that be like a Holiday Inn?
Well, so Cobblestone out of Seward, right? The owner of that company, smart guy. If you can get him on the podcast, he's really cool. His dad used to be in hotels. He decided to make his own chain. Anyhow, so he tried doing... So you have your Cobblestone, which is a new build, and then you have your Borders Inn and Suites, which is not new build. So it's something that you're transforming into, right? So it was a cool product. I liked the product. I liked the fact that it was new and that people hadn't heard of it. And unfortunately for me, my hotel didn't really work for, I guess, the normal clientele. At least not at that time. And so I that $100,000 that I had spent learning that it doesn't do that. I then switched it back to the Oasis because I thought that was I thought it was hilarious. Nobody got the joke though, because originally it was the Oasis, then it was the Oasis. Well, the whole song, I got friends in low places. Like I feel like that song captures the clientele that I had like to a T.
Yeah. Because hold on.
sorry.
We just need to go back because I know Henry's a youngin.
I'm a youth.
But this hotel used to be like
it was amazing. We had family reunions there every year. They had putt-putt. They had the pool. They had an arcade. They had what else? Like shuffleboard.
Like going there as a kid was spectacular. You'd go there for a staycation, or if they had weddings there and wedding receptions.
One of my first weddings, I did on my own.
Play in the arcade.
There. Yeah,
the movie Terms of Endearment was filmed there.
Yeah,
several other little side pieces of movies were filmed there.
Many famous people have stayed there.
Yeah. It used to actually be the hotel where the Huskers went originally before they went to the Marriott, right? So I mean, it's a piece of Lincoln like Americana. It's like it has the potential. And what's frustrating is you can see the freaking potential. You just can't make enough cash to make it happen. And so the thing that we're doing right now, so we during COVID, I'm a stubborn person. I had spinal surgery. Okay. So I was technically supposed to be out of order for 6 months. I literally went to the hotel with my walker. I declared myself a what do you call it? An essential worker. To get I'd moved to St. Louis at that time, so you needed a piece of paper, and so I declared myself an essential worker. I did the commute, and I went around with my walker, and I started the YouTube channel, The Ugly Motel. You can catch us on YouTube, and I showed the renovations that we did to this property. Right, the biggest thing that we did that I think had to happen, and the previous owners had tried this. But the city had kind of fought them on it, but the city this time helped us out with it. So that was cool. We renovated that back building, turned it into apartment complex, a 28-plex. We turned 55 units into a 28-plex. So that gave the stability part of the building. So now that will pay
reoccurring revenue.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so then you're not having to deal with the seasonality of a hotel. And that allowed me to take the hotel and say, okay, we're going to raise the rates. We're going to try to accommodate guests that are coming through, and we're going to try to renovate things in a way that they're accommodating to nightly guests. So that's kind of where we're at post-COVID. There's been a lot of small changes that have happened since then, and there's been a lot of challenges. I'm sure you guys know too. There's a lot of challenges in the post-COVID world, just trying to figure out where do you find decent employees, how hospitality itself has gone down overall. Like people are not traveling like they used to. And when they do travel, they go to Airbnbs. So if you look at the trend data for that, it's not the greatest investment, hospitality in general, but we're beating everybody on the Star Report so the Star Report's a hotel specific way to compare myself to other hotels in Lincoln. We're beating them on occupancy. We're a little bit lower on ADR. ADR's average daily rate. So it's making progress in the right direction. We've added on a couple things that made us get through COVID. It looks strange from the outside, but it makes sense on paper. So we added a U-Haul, a dealership. So we became affiliated with U-Haul during the summers. That makes some money. We started a moving company. We Move For You, the best moving company in Lincoln, Nebraska. And so that brings in some revenue. We started the Skilled Games, which, by the way, in case you're wondering, Skilled Games are basically what are keeping like most of Nebraska businesses alive. Like Skilled Games, they give that extra revenue that are allowing people to deal with the inflation, the economy. Keep that part in because that's
a slot machine. That's not a slot machine.
Yeah,
that you see in the gas stations.
Okay.
And
Like Casey's has them. Some restaurants have them.
Yeah. And so the thought here though is that like without that extra revenue, a lot of these businesses would probably be under at this point. So it's helping pay for the labor increase that we've had in Nebraska. We went from $9 to like almost 50. Everybody gets $15 at this point, you know? And so that huge jump plus coming back from COVID plus everything else, those Skilled Games have made a big deal. Yeah. So that's where we're at now.
Yeah.
That's where we're at now.
So let's go back to the beginning when you bought it, because I happen to know a little bit about this story.
Yeah. Okay.
So I remember, I used to be one of the owners of Lucky's Lounge, which was located in the hotel. And that was based off of the previous owner who rented it to us. And the whole reason we even took that location and thought it was going to be great is because we knew there was a new owner coming in and he was going to, bring it back to its glory days.
Yeah.
And so we were like, heck yeah, let's get in there now before this new owner does it, and he's gonna charge us an astronomical amount of money. And so we did. And I remember meeting you. You would come in and you would sit at the bar, and you would meet designers there, you would meet contractors, and you had like it all laid out of how. And I was so excited. Like I was like, this place, it's gonna come back.
And Paul's 25 at this time.
Yeah, 25. I mean, that place had, it had a restaurant, it had a bar, it had a ballroom.
You never have to leave.
No, there's a staycation place, and they made a lot of money based off of just wedding receptions and stuff there.
Right,
I mean,
right.
And so yeah, this young kid's coming in, and he's got all these ideas, and we're all excited. And I know exactly what happened. You came in and you were ready, but the problem is that building is old and neglected, and
it was losing $40,000 a month in income. It was bringing in $23,000, and it was spending like $63,000 every month. So that was a little bit of a wake up call.
That's not very sustainable.
Yeah, I went through a similar thing. I had sports courts in town, and I had all these dreams for it, but the building said, "Nah, hold on, we're gonna have this $30,000 AC go out, and we're gonna I remember the pool going down, and it was like it was like something like $100,000. You were
the first week it flooded into the basement, and so here we are in the basement trying to figure out which valve shut off the main drain that had broke, and so you just see the pool doing like basically a cartoon.
I remember being in the basement,
just a whirlpool down the drain.
Gosh, so yeah, there was a lot of like the first year, just chaos. So it's interesting because now my anxieties are, how do I build it back? Because I mean, I've wasted a decade. I shouldn't say wasted. I've learned a lot in a decade on how this building operates and how the world of commercial real estate operates. But here we are 10 years later, and I haven't realized the goal. I haven't realized the dream, right? How do I get that back? And so my biggest concern right now is, okay, how do I allocate my funds to continue to develop this without setting us up so we have all long terms again? Well, back then, my biggest fear was how do I pay this $8,000 water bill or this $14,000 electric bill? Those were the actual numbers back then. It was insane.
Monthly?
Yeah, monthly. Yeah.
You were spending over $20,000 a month in utilities?
Insane. Yeah. I was having some like, what did I buy? I just bought a huge debt. And so first thing was, let's get some of these leaks fixed. Let's get some of these massive drains on the electric bill fixed. And, so I went from trying to plan out how to make it look pretty to how not to just die from utility bills. You know, It was insane. It was crazy. I don't know if you remember this, but like I spent most of my days going around trying to figure out which of the cast iron little water exchange things above the bathrooms were going to explode. I remember fixing one with a bicycle inner tube at one point. Like, I mean, it was bad. It was bad. So yeah, interesting first year.
It was.
My wife was like, what have you got us into?
Yeah, I'm sure she was. Yeah. I mean, I'm not trying to say this is bad, but I watched your enthusiasm.
Slowly drained.
And so did mine. I'm like, crap.
So you were still head of the bar at that time when Paul was trying to revive this.
Correct. Yeah, and I just watched it, like a problem every day. And it was never his fault. It was just like he had these dreams. He had the plan.
Those were the cards, though.
Yeah, and things were just falling apart.
It was impressive, yeah. But there's something to be said about grit. There's something to be said about I will not give up.
You have not given up, and I mean I would have given up.
There are some days, but I mean it's also one of those I will die before this stupid thing beats me. So and like I have an offer on the table, which is a really cool offer, right? It's $17 million. Wyndham has
sold. Let's go.
Right. Well, so Wyndham came to me. They sent down a guy from Wisconsin that builds La Quintas, and he's like, "Hey, let's knock this down. Let's build a brand new efficient thing. My monthly payments would be $100,000. That's scary.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is a great location. You got the Google factory that just went down the street. You have the event center. You have, you're right next to the university. You're right off the highway. There's a lot of opportunity here. Let's build this new $17 million thing. I mean, and I was like, okay, you going to pitch in on this? Or and he's like, well, I mean, we'll help you get the financing. But here's the plan. So, I mean, it's cool. It's a cool idea. And it's something that I really want to do. But I also feel like if I do it too soon, I want to put a bow on this the Ugly Motel portion before I move on to.
Yeah, that changes your dream.
Yeah. It's hard. It's hard. It's like, and I didn't expect I'd get like emotionally attached to a building, and that's been kind of one of the more interesting things because here's a way out. I mean, during COVID too, I had some lowball people that were offering me to buy it too, and I turned that down, which is, probably not the smartest decision, but we're talking like more than I bought it for. So
yeah,
not more than I put into it, but more than I bought it for.
But a ticket out.
Ticket out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which my banker's like, you're nuts. What's wrong with you? And
he's like, as your banker, listen.
Yeah, as your banker, we also want to be done with this. Yeah. No, I know. But I mean, it's led to a lot of interesting opportunities.
Well, yeah, because you decided to just say, F it, I'm going to embrace this Ugly Motel.
Yeah.
You literally started marketing it as the Ugly Motel.
Yeah.
So that was your idea. That wasn't
like I'm not fighting it anymore. I'm just going to go
just
with
lean
it.
into it.
So yeah,
you started making YouTube videos.
Yeah.
It starts going nationwide.
Yeah. We have people visiting from Seattle. Like no joke. We have people come down.
People are curious. Like, what the hell is this place?
So we're bringing people into Lincoln from everywhere, which is interesting. And I made some really good friends out of Florida, Georgia. I got to go tour a property that was in. So it was one of those high end. I mean, like there's celebrities walking down the street as I go into this place. The ceilings are like 60 feet tall, and like everything's like looks like it's coated in gold. I mean, it may probably not real gold, but marble or gold, And so I'm going through, I'm talking to these people. I'm like, oh my, you guys are living at a whole different level than me. I got comped. Let's say it was 3 nights. Maybe I stayed there at a trip by Wyndham, which I don't know if you know this. There's only like 3 in the nation, and it's an amazing product. It's an amazing property. It's so cool for like millennial generation. And they gave me like I walk in and there's like the local beers like waiting for me, and I'm just
what
like,
up?
I got the VIP. So it was fun for a while, and I still got great friends from that. Haven't had time to really like keep going with the channel lately, but
you made it interesting because I was watching. I was like, because I felt like I knew about the place, and he's basically just going on there like, well, this broke today, so here's what we're gonna do, and he takes you on a tour, of what it looks like now, and I'm sure that's a lot. For me, it was more just nostalgia,
right?
Nostalgia stuff, like to see because it's still there. you can still like you walk into that Holidome thing and you just see it. Or I do, you know, it's like, oh, putt there. That's what, you know, like I can envision the whole thing, even though none of that's there anymore.
Well, I mean, I have it all in storage, basically.
It can come back.
Yeah, it can come back. So here's the catch-22. So I finally have the thing in the green, so that's good. It's making cash, and I have the bills down manageable. It's got a flag by Wyndham, so we have support, we have standards, we have things that are helping it go in the right direction. The problem is these massive things, just like a massive boat, it takes a little bit of time to steer it in there. So you're starting to make some progress, but for it to completely do a U-turn, it takes some time.
You got a cruise line.
Yeah.
It's not a boat.
I mean, I have a friend who's a master plumber who he's like, dude, if you, and he says dude, but he's like in his 70s, but whatever. So
he
like,
stayed there the first night.
We can fix this. You get your guys to take out this chunk of concrete. I'll replace, because all around the pool is cast iron. Of course it is.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't it be? You know? And so we've tried to fix that, but we have a plan that wouldn't cost like an arm and a leg. Got to get the rooms on the inside making sense. I have all the putt-putt golf stuff, but I think I'd upgrade it. I love the dinosaur one down the street from us. I think that thing's cooler than us, but maybe we could.
It really is cool.
You know, I mean, we can do something similar if we wanted to. And
it's not a bad idea.
Well, and then there's the event hall. You know, then there's the event hall.
Yes.
That is just sitting there, wasted real estate that should. I mean, let's say that I went half the price of any place in Lincoln, and then we're still talking like $1,000 an event, maybe $500 an event. You know, I mean, there's potential. There's lots of potential, but I think if I try to rush into any of those things too fast, then we'll just see the cost of everything else start leading us back down to where we have to focus on long terms and some of these. And there's nothing wrong with long terms. I love they are the bread and butter, right? So I want the contractors that are there to work on stuff in Lincoln. I want the contractors that are there to work on the railroad. I want the contractors that are there, they're pipe fitters or what have you. And that's one of the things that Wyndham's bringing to us. They're helping us with these contracts. And so we're slowly building that back up. So there's a chance. And so that's the problem. I have this hope of fulfilling the dream or seeing the dream like fulfilled. And then I also have the reality that I probably should do the $17 million new building. So it's like, I don't know, I might do one and then be like, smash,
Yeah.
But
you're just not ready to give up yet, which is fine.
Yeah.
I mean, because because you've made yourself the face of this now.
Yeah.
So that's also, I get that part. Like,
yeah.
Everybody's like, there's Paul.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting too. Yeah. There's not as many. So it's faded a little bit, but like I couldn't go into Menards without people like stopping and wanting to talk about
Seriously.
stuff. So, I mean, it was fun. I have the Lieutenant Governor's cell phone number on my phone. I mean, there's some cool stuff like that. I've met with quite a few people who also believe in the property. I don't want to name those names, but the mayor still hasn't called me back. Just saying. After 4 years of trying, 5 years of trying. No, no, so it's still a project. It's still a thing. And I think it's making some progress. But at 25, it was nothing close to what I had expected. It's not what I, at that point, had known Lincoln, Nebraska to be. So it was different. And anyone else that, is thinking about buying a hotel that young, I would say, go try managing a hotel first for a while. Go see, try an older.
You really put your money where your mouth was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I would. Yeah. When I do stuff, I'm all in. And sometimes it hurts the savings account.
Yeah.
So if I had to do it over again, like if I was like trying to pick out hotels, I think I would go for, because I get this question a lot, and it's something that people always ask. So if I had to do it over again, would I buy the same type of hotel? Massive holidomes don't really work. They're great for like a person with ADHD that sees a lot of potential, but the reality is you almost just want those super efficient. Like they have, it's a long building, and it has workable units and an easy to repair roof and just a straight shot of plumbing. And that's what you want if you're buying a hotel. Again, I get people all the time, hey, I'm going to buy this hotel up in Iowa. And I went and viewed with some people up in Iowa. They were buying.
So I guess like a consultant type thing?
Well, so I mean,
Advisor.
I don't remember if I got paid or not. I get bored. So, I mean, people call me. I have a buddy who's doing a YouTube channel. So his name is Jordan, Bruce Jordan, and I can't remember the name of it's hospitality management. He's going to kill me. Anyhow, so Bruce Jordan, cool guy. That guy actually knows what he's talking about when it comes to like, he's been a GM for several hotels. He's worked up in corporate. He knows what he's doing. And so he'll like invite me out to some hotels, like in wherever he's consulting for somebody to purchase, flip, and do whatever. And so, I mean, it's a different process, but you don't go for the massive holodomes. So there's a reason why there's only a few of them left.
Yeah. Well, it's a massive expense.
Yeah.
Of just deadness that you got to heat, you got to electric, you know. Yeah. No, I get it.
Yeah.
That's why. Yeah, you don't see those being built anymore. And there's hard. There's one left in is it Kearney?
So they turned that into what did they turn it into? But yeah, there's one left in Nebraska. The one up in Omaha has been knocked down. Oh, Cocoa Keys.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I got to go there before, and I got to see his transformation and see his indoor water park and all that other cool stuff. I bought his arcade games. So that's actually where I got my arcade games from the first time around. And I mean, that was a genius business model. That guy had everything figured out, but then he made, and I don't want to say mistake because I don't know the full story, but he decided to sell it to somebody else on like a consignment thing where they pay him back or whatever. And then he tried doing the distance thing. Well, a place that big, it needs the soul of the owner. It needs micromanaged. And if you try to cut costs too much at the expense of like the amenities or whatever, it'll end up, I mean, that thing went from being awesome to being shut down within like a year.
Yeah.
So
I remember the demise of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I always thought, it was a genius idea. I even thought that'd be a good idea for you.
Yeah. No, that's why I visited it. Yeah. That's why I tried meeting with them and everything. And they had like fleets of managers walking around, making sure things were going great. And it's amazing how the presence of one person kind of changed that, when they swapped that out. Again, not saying that the new guy didn't do, I'm sure. The problem is if you don't have the decade of experience with it, there's not really a great way to replicate that. So, but yeah, so there's the one up in Kearney. I can't remember that one might actually still be a Holidome. I don't remember. And then there's a couple across the United States. There's a group that follows which ones are still around, and they do a trip annually to the different Holodomes, which is kind of fun. You know?
But not yours or yours.
Oh yeah, no, I've had people that
I want to join that.
Well. It's interesting which one. So there's one in St. Louis that recently got knocked down. Again, most of them are. So you have to almost get there before it's gone. And
yeah, you never know every year which one's going to be there next year.
Yeah. And no offense to those hotels, but they're either really well redone or they're on their last leg, and so it would be a heck of a road trip. You'd be one night staying at like the Ritz, and the next night staying at like. Not.
Yeah.
So
Ugly
see.
Motel.
The ugly
All the
motel.
different
Not
sides.
the Ugly Motel.
Okay, so tell me, what are the plans then in say 2 years and 5 years? Like, what do you think? Like, what's your next?
So that's a really good question. So that one's a tentative plan. So right now, this spring, my next goal is to open up the restaurant again, which I know it's not the year to be opening up restaurants. It's not the year to be like the cost of food's high, the cost of labor's high, the cost of everything's high. But I'd like to try to get a pizza place going again because I think that makes the most sense instead of it makes the most sense inside of a hotel. People, that's all they eat in a hotel, I swear, it's just pizza. So I'm just going to try and see if I could do just pizza. That's step one. I've been working with Wyndham. We're going to be going down, let's see, March, April, May. We'll be going down in May to Vegas. So Wyndham just became partners with a couple of the hotels on the row, and I have a little bit of an in. Going to try to see behind the scenes of how they position their stuff. So my big thought on like Lincoln, Nebraska in general is we don't really have a great tourist industry.
Yeah.
We don't really have an industry at all. But
Well, North Platte does because of Joe.
Yep.
right, well, yeah. So
Or if you want to see the football team on Saturdays for 7 games a year.
if we can create stuff that's unique, and again, I think the fun thing with the skilled games is you're guaranteed to win if you know the rules and you know how to play them. So that's different than every other state around us. We missed out on the whole pot thing. We missed out on the whole gambling thing when, Iowa just basically took that over, And obviously Vegas is where you go for that, but they've mastered it. So I'm going to go down there. I'm going to study out how they do that, how they lay it out, what attractions they do. Because I do have a massive ballroom. I used to do some cool events in there too. So how do I get it so that way I can draw in people that are interested in the cool live event? So I have to get that thing looking nice, cool live event, big event, sell them some of my pizza. And then I have because in Nebraska, the skilled games are based on square footage. So I have the largest square footage out of everyone. So I get to max out at 15 of those machines. And those actually produce quite a bit of revenue. They keep a lot of these small businesses afloat. But if I can double that up, if I can create a second like entertainment half of the business, then I can maybe get to 30. We'll see. Then now we have a point that people want to come to Lincoln for. Maybe not as cool as the casino, maybe not as cool as the event center, maybe, but something unique. I wouldn't do the same genre as, I guess, what the other things in town are doing. I would do probably some fun. I don't know if you remember, but I used to do I flew in some comedians from Chicago and stuff like that, just because it's fun. And if it's a name that I could get a hold of, I was able to get a hold of a Rick from Pawn Stars at one point.
Yeah.
He did a quick little thing for me. It's amazing how the network grows. And so if all these people, if I can get some of those people in there, maybe I can try to do that. So I guess for the 2 and 5 year goal, 2-year goal, have restaurant optimized. I'd like to get the inside rooms running and renting. 5-year goal, if those all make sense, I would like to partner with one of these pool places and get that pool fixed. I've talked to Wyndham about so if we continue down this path without knocking stuff down, if we continue down this path, the ultimate goal would be a Wyndham Gardens, right? So in order to become a resort, I have to have 3 amenities. One would be an attraction room or center. Okay, so that would be these skilled games. If we could double down on that. The event hall, we have to have food, so we have the restaurant. And then the last thing you have to have is the pool. So I don't know, I guess event center and the game thing is one, then you have pool and you have food. So for me to upgrade to the next level of, obviously standards across the board have to go up too, but that would be the goal if we continue this this floor plan, this current building and everything like that. So yeah, that'd be where that would go. So
what does the pool need right now?
It needs new plumbing. So it has all cast iron and it's all encased inside of 12 foot of concrete. So
bit of digging to do.
Here's a fun story. The first time it flooded into the basement, I got it fixed down there because it's all PVC, right? It was easy enough thing. I called a guy, a plumber. Oh yeah, I got that fixed. Next time it flooded, so we had this nonstop water bill that just kept getting more and more and more. And like I said, I think it got up into the tens of thousands. It was bad. And so I dug down, I found where the water was coming from, and I repaired that line from the pool to where it goes to the basement. And so I have this massive hole there. And so we turn it back on and it's running great. Everything's working the way it should. And then the stairs start like a fountain starts spraying out. And so it's like, okay, well, I guess it's broken down there too. And so I'm like, well, and they start looking at it. We're like, all of this is cast iron. So it's all going to eventually die. So what I need to do is do a trench around the pool. Because I've already replaced from the main drain. So I dug underneath to the main drain, replaced that chunk and all the way up. And so all I need now to do is dig around the actual pool and replace that cast iron with PVC. And then in theory, it should be good to go. And then of course I'd put an epoxy coat on top of it or something, make it look pretty and do some beautification stuff. But, and obviously at that point, if I've spent $100,000 or however much it would cost to do all that chaos, I'd probably want to make the space look cool again. So we'd have to do some
more tropical plants.
Yeah, some more. Maybe we'll go with fake
maybe
plants.
From local.
Yeah. Bring in the local plants. Yeah. So, and that's what's weird too, is made to be almost like a greenhouse. So it's a warm building in general, which makes sense when you're going around playing in the pool. It doesn't make sense when you're walking around and it's just 1,000 degrees in there and you're like, there's no relief from this. So I don't know. until it has the pool again, it doesn't make sense for it to be that warm in there. So it's not very appealing to just guess to be on the inside at that temperature, especially when Nebraska hits 100 degrees or higher. So, So yeah, that's kind of where that's going. In the meantime, we're going to continue to focus on building up like the moving company that We Move For You. I've been doing some house flipping / remodeling type stuff that is fun. It's a side venture or whatever. Yeah. The biggest fun thing I think is going to be the trip to Vegas. So.
Well, why not? Good research and development.
Research and development.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about the moving company? Like
Sure.
2 minutes about the moving company?
Yeah. So moving company is really simple. You get 2 guys for 2 hours, and it's $150 an hour, minimum of 2 hours, and we'll just come and help you move your stuff from your garage, your house, into the U-Haul that you rent. And I'm trying to decide if I want to extend that out at all, make it go to out of town. But right now it's just all in town in Lincoln. We've got all 5-star reviews, and we're on Google and stuff like that. So We Move For You .biz. I need to buy the .com, but .biz. Or just type in We Move For You in Lincoln, and it should pop up. It's the cheapest way to move. It's if you just want an extra hand and you don't want to deal with, if you don't want to deal with like a $10,000 moving company, if you just need somebody
If you
to
want
help,
$300, there you go.
there you go.
You got the U-Haul, so there it is.
Yeah. So
Okay, and then your YouTube channel, The Ugly
YouTube
Motel.
channel is The Ugly Motel. You can see the whole COVID adventure. Occasionally, I do updates on there just that way I stay monetized. So there might be some more coming out on that, especially the behind the scenes stuff. I know that a lot of people that are buying hotels. So a lot of the hotels right now are being sold because they're being replaced with new. And for those of you guys out there that are looking to buy hotels, I do try to get back to most messages. I'm not the expert, but I do have like my version of it, and I'll talk to you about it. And if I do any of those, I plan to do a how-to at some point. But I do have a how I did it. So if you look at the Ugly Motel, how I bought a hotel at 25 and what money did I use to do that? The world's changed a little bit since 2013, but a lot of those rules still apply. So, yeah.
What about your other social media, or what if somebody wants to come stay at the hotel?
Well, if somebody wants to stay at the hotel, so actually, you can find us on any of the third-party sites. I have it listed as the Travelodge Northeast. That's our official name.
They wouldn't accept the Ugly Motel.
So if you're
if you type into Google Maps,
if you type into Google Maps 5250 Cornhusker Highway, it shows up as the Ugly Motel.
Nice.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, and I had to jump through some hoops. They kept trying to deny it, and I said, no, this is legit the location of
Yeah, because it
filming.
doesn't seem like somebody's trying to mess with somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at the
Trying to
same time,
protect
like
you, but-
I can't imagine like, okay, I'm going into town. And I'm like, honey, we got to find a hotel.
Oh, hey, cousins, where'd you stay last night?
Yeah, the Ugly Motel.
Well, and what's fun is, so like I'm the only one on the third-party sites too so everybody else is showing, this is my bed. This is a picture of a generic bed with a normal painted, whatever. It's got a vanity, and you could sleep here. I'm like, hey, look, here is a skilled game machine. We are cool, So you're scrolling down, and it's the only one. It's like, why is that even okay? And then so I think that has a little bit to do with my marketing, or the reason why we actually have why we're making progress towards, I guess, the traditional target of a normal hotel. So yeah, kind of interesting.
Yeah.
So there's TIF financing. People are able to get free money for the government, they're able to get free money for projects that'll help redevelop some of these outdated areas. But I mean, for those of us that are outside of that area, we're having to do it 100% with ourselves, which again is where those skilled games come in to help out. So during COVID, they paid for all the commercial buildings. If you knew about this grant, they would pay for all the commercial buildings utilities for like 5 years, something stupid. Maybe it's a year, I don't know. So, but they were paying for utilities. For me, that's a big part.
That's your expense.
That'd be great. And it ended the street before me. And I'm like, so it covered, but it ended. So it was all of this area. And then I'm like, oh, good, it's right. And so I zoom in on Google Maps. I'm like, oh, it's the street freaking before me. Like I could have had like no bills for like a year. That would have been huge.
That'd be life changing.
That would have been life changing.
I have the same problem with Jimmy John's. They'll deliver across the street.
Very similar capacities of issues there.
These are great. Yeah, no, totally. Yeah.
Yeah. Not
Well, when you're not running and remodeling your motel or moving people around,
Sure.
what do you like to do here in town? What's your enjoyment? What's your activities?
So I just got down doing 75 hard, which
No way.
yeah. So that took a big part of my life. So on New Year's Eve I had no challenge. I always take up some random challenge. Usually
Yeah,
it's
like
I'm gonna
5 days ago, you would have got done.
yeah exactly yeah no I had my first drink for the first time since the new year. I had my first. Well, did I even eat bread? I haven't eaten bread, I don't think. Anyhow, so I chose keto. I did outdoor workouts, indoor workouts, and I've read like 5 books since then. I mean, it's been awesome. And I'm probably going to do a light version of that going forward. I can't mentally get off of keto yet. I mean, I definitely had some hash browns yesterday morning just because I need those carbs. But yeah, so I did 75 hard.
Wow.
And that was a lot of fun. I lost 45 pounds doing that.
Holy smokes.
I was out jogging during blizzards. I mean, I'm not going to lie. It got a little bit boring for a while until I found the hills. There's a couple hills close to my house so I found it technically might be a pipeline. I probably should not have been hiking on it. But so I decided to charge this hill every day. So I kept switching it up, and I don't know. It made for a fun winter blizzard time, especially this year since so I have a snow removal company also, and
Of course.
and it was a disappointing year because up until January we didn't have any snow, and I was like, this will be what I do. And then my snowplow decides it's going to have an issue, so I was like, you know what? I'm just going to write that off for this year. I'm just going to keep enjoying the snow. I'm just going to keep charging that. So I do that, and then I've been playing with a lot of AI. I'm sure everybody is at this point. We're all trying to make our own bots. We're all trying to optimize this, that, and the other. And so that's been fun. And then, my kids go to school here in Lincoln, and my first one he just started this year at Messiah Lutheran. And so we've been getting, I guess, involved in the parenting lifestyle of extracurricular activities and things like that. So birthday parties for the first time. That's really fun. Yeah. So a lot of that kind of stuff. We'll see how it goes. So I guess I don't have any real hobbies that are not, Yeah.
Well, you're just so
just a
darn
bunch
busy.
of businesses. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess that's the hobby.
Yep, that's fine.
Yeah,
I get it.
Oh, I have a free poker game if anybody likes poker. Thursdays at 7 and Saturdays at let's see, it's 3 and 6.
Where's that at?
At the Ugly Motel.
Okay.
So yeah, so if anybody doesn't know how to play, this is a perfect way to learn how to play.
Low risk.
Low risk, yeah. So it costs you $0 to play. The Thursday game could get you a trip to Vegas. It's through the FPN network, and for me, it helps me think. Again, it's just a fun game that I think should be considered a skill game. I don't know if Nebraska considered it a skill game yet, but it's a fun game to play, and it's a low barrier to entry. But what we do with that is we do a lot of networking type stuff. I've met a lot of people that are into real estate through that, and I've made some good connections there. It's helped me find a couple houses that I was able to buy that were, I guess, I would consider undervalued. And yeah, so it's a good little networking group on Thursdays and Saturdays. So there's my hobby. If
Excellent.
if
Yeah.
the kids are behaving, then I can go out and do that. So
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on,
Yeah.
Paul.
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you guys.
All right. Thanks, everybody.